Hello and welcome to this video on multiplying 1, 2 and 3 digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. For each of them, I've got 3 examples. So if at the end of the first one you're kind of thinking, if by the end of the second one you kind of think, by the end of the third one you'll hopefully be thinking, yep, got him. So obviously if you get it by the end of the first one, just fast forward or leave the video there. But if you do kind of like need another explanation, that's the reason I've done quite so many examples. So my thoughts are, if we look at the easiest ones first, so multiplying 1 digit by 2 digits, and if before you jump into this, I would recommend that your child or you is in a place where you're confident with your 2 times tables. Nope, not your 2 times tables, sorry, your multiplication times tables. Or if you remember if you're watching this in the Clara James approach, then we've obviously got the bundles of different times tables resources in there. If you're not, then I'll drop the link below that you can sign up for the free monthly emails where you've got kind of like an explanation of the how to learn the different times tables, but then there's also some resources with it to support actually learning it. So let's start with this one. If we start with let's start from left and move to the right. Oops, I've got a toolbar in the way. So the first thing I would do is set it out. So I had 21 times 7. And then pop this underneath, and I can simply go 1 times 7 is 7, and 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, simple enough. So I do this number and times it by the bottom number, and then I'll take this number and times it by the bottom number. So the opposite of reading, start from the right and work to the left. Okay, so for the next example, we've got, oops, can't write, 41 times 5. Okay, so I go 1 times 5 and then 4 times 5. And once again, the second digit coincidentally is when I times that by that, it gives us a 2-digit number, and I can just pop that straight in. With this one, when I go 32 times 6, I'll start with 2 times 6, which will give me 12. So what I need to do is pop the 2 in here and carry 1. It doesn't really matter where you put it, as long as there's a reminder somewhere that I need to add 1 onto my next one. So when I go 3 times 6, that will give me 18. And now I need to add this 1 that I've either stored in my head or down here, up here, over here, anywhere you like, as long as you don't forget to pop it in. So 3 times 6 is 18, plus this 1 gives me 19. So I can just write that down there. So my answer is 192. Okay, so hopefully those 3 were quite straightforward, because now the next ones are going to get slightly harder, okay? Because now we're looking at multiplying 2 digits by 2 digits. So this time I would set it up as putting, once again, one on top of the other. So 45 times 21. I haven't given myself very much space, but hopefully it will fit. Okay, so if we go 5 times 1, that's 5. And 4 times 1 is 4. So what I've done is I've taken the 5 and multiplied it by the 1. And then I've taken the 4 and multiplied it by the 1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've multiplied everything by the 1. So I'm going to put a cross through that or scribble through that or something, just so that I can see I finished with it. But because I'm now multiplying by the 2, what I'm going to do is put a 0 here, because I'm no longer multiplying by 1s, I'm multiplying by 10s. So I need to block out the 1s column so that it makes sense when I multiply by the 10s column, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, just change my color. Let's go like this. I'm multiplying by this 2 here. So what I'll do is 5 times 2 gives me 10. So I'll put my 0 in and carry my 1. I'll pop it over here so it's out the way. And then I'll do 4 times 2 plus this 1 that I've carried over here, which will give me 9. Okay. Now what I need to do is add these 2 rows together. So I'll go 5 add 0 is 5, 4 add 0 is 4, and 9 add 0 is 9. I know you're very often told to put the number that you carry on here. I can't remember where it went. Here, I think. No, can't remember where it was. 4 times 5 gave me 20. No, can't remember where it was carrying. But the problem is when you put it here, if I say popped it there, very often what happens is when you come to do the adding up, you go 5 add nothing is 5, 1 add nothing is 1, and 4 add 9 is 13. And so I've now ended up with a completely different answer because I've thought that this 1 here wasn't just a little one that I was carrying over. I thought it was something that I needed to add into my answer, and it gets confusing. So by writing it slightly further out the way, or storing it in your, as long as you don't forget it, storing it in your head or something, it just removes it from the sum, and so you're not going to accidentally add it into the wrong place. Okay, let's have a look at this next one. So this time we've got 21, I've given myself even less space, 21, oops, times 55. Okay, times, what I think I'm going to do is give us a bit more space. Let's cover that up. There you go. I'll get rid of that for a minute. Okay, so we've got 1 times 5, nice and easy as 5. 2 times 5 is 10. I can pop the 10 straight in because there's nothing else to come. Right, so once again, we're no longer multiplying by 1, so I'm going to put a line through that so we don't accidentally get confused with what we're doing, and pop in our placeholder. Now I can go 1 times 5 once again is 5, and 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so there's nothing to carry that time, so it's actually an easier one. And then we can add our two answers together. So I've got 5 add nothing is 5. Nothing add 5 is once again 5. 1 add nothing is 1. And bring in the 1. So my answer this time is 1,155. Okay. Hopefully it's making sense, but let's do one more just in case. Change the shade of that blue. Okay, so we've now got 75 times 52. Okay. So first column first, we're going to start multiplying by this 2. So 5 times 2, 10. 7 times 2. There, that's where I don't want to put it. I'm going to put it over here out the way. 7 times 2 is 14, plus that 1 is 15. Okay, so we'll finish doing that now. So we'll cross that out and put a placeholder in there. And we'll go 5 times 5 is 25. And we've got 2 to carry. We'll cross that out because we know we've done that. 7 times 5 is 35 plus the 2 that we're carrying. So that gives us 37. Okay, and then we can add once again our two rows together. So we've got nothing add nothing gives us nothing. 5 add 5 is 10. I am going to put it down here this time because it's not going to be in the way of any of our other working outs. And then 1 add 7 add 1 is 7 add 1 is 8 plus 1 more is 9. And then we can bring down that 3. So our answer would be 3,900. Okay, so let's have a look. Final one. Get a bit more complicated again. Oops. Okay, this time we're multiplying 3 digits by 2 digits. So once again, a bit more challenging. So let's start with, once again, we'll pop it in. So we've got one sitting on top of the other. So 295 times 12. And the system is basically the same. If I'm multiplying by 4, 5, 6 digits, it doesn't matter because the concept is exactly the same. So we'll start with 5 times 2 gives us 10. 9 times 2 is 18, plus the 1 that we've carried from the 5 times 2, so that gives me 19. Pop the 1 over there. We finished with that one. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that 1 gives us 5. Okay, so we've finished with this, but to keep its value of the 1, we need to put in placeholder there. So now we've got 5 times 1 is 5, 9 times 1 is 9, 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, and then we can add our rows together once again. So just pop that there. Nothing add nothing. 9 add 5 is 14, so I'll pop in a 4 and carry the 1. 9 add 1 is 10, plus the 5 is 15. Carry the 1, 2 add 1 gives me 3. Okay, so as you can see, the principle is exactly the same. Actually, what I'm going to do is just to make the thing slightly different, I'm going to make this next one a 3-digit number. So I'm going to make that, let's go 512. Okay, and we'll remove this end one. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so we've got 512 times 821, just to show that the system's still the same, even though we've now got different number of digits. So we've got 2 times 1 gives us 2, 1 times 1 gives us 1, 5 times 1 gives us 5. Okay, so that's this line finished. Because I finished with that 1, I need to put a placeholder underneath it, because now we're going to be multiplying by the 2. So what I'm going to do is underline the 2 so you can see what we're multiplying by. 2 times 2 gives me 4. 1 times 2 gives me 2. And 5 times 2 gives me 10. Okay, so that's that row finished. So I'm going to cross that out because I finished with it. And this time we're going to be multiplying by the 8. Okay, so to keep the 8 in the hundreds, we need to put in 2 placeholders. And we can go 2 times 8 gives me 16. So 6 and carry 1. 1 times 8 is 8, plus the 1 I've just carried gives me 9. 5 times 8 is 40. Okay. I think as well, by deliberately moving it, the number that you're carrying to a side, it's more of a dramatic action, if you like. So you're actually more likely to remember it because you've actually had to consciously move it. Whereas when you just pop a little line or 2 or 3 or whatever underneath, because it's not such a big action, it just kind of flows in with what you're doing. So you might actually be more inclined to forget it, unless it's just me that's forgetful. Um, but anyway, now I've finished multiplying by the 8. So what I can do is add my 3 numbers together, or my 3 rows together. So 2 add nothing, add nothing. 1 add 4 plus nothing gives me 5. 6 add 2 is 8 plus 5 is 13. That, I'll pop that under there. 1 add 9 is 10. 1 add 1 is 2. And 4. Okay, so as you can see, the principle is exactly the same each time. Each time I finish multiplying by a number on this line, I just put in a placeholder so that it keeps its value up here. Okay, and that's literally it. If you're confident with your times tables, which is paramount to any of this, then the rest of it should hopefully become easier. But it's just a case of once you start with this position, multiply everything by that. Then once you've done that, cross it out so you're not tempted to kind of go back to it, and then put your placeholder in so that the next number keeps its value. And then once you've finished with that, cross it out. And then for the next one, you put in 2 placeholders because I'm now in the 3rd column, and you just work along the line chronologically from right to left. Hopefully that all made sense. Any questions, please do ask. Have a brilliant or enjoy the rest of your day. Hope that was helpful and see you in the next video. Take care.